What's up guys, Zerda here, and today we are doing a bit of a different video. We're going to be looking at my top 10 favorite fighters in the UFC, okay? This is a video I've been wanting to do for a bit now, and I just kind of wanted to show you guys who I like as a fighter, and you know, who I'm maybe a little emotionally attached to, right? Like if I see these guys lose their next fight, chances are maybe I'll cry, okay? And I'm going to admit that maybe I will cry if they lose. Or maybe I'll just be, fucking angry the whole day and I'll be fucking pissed and my week will be ruined. And I feel like as UFC fans, the more you get into the sport and the more you grow attached to these fighters, the more likely you are to genuinely, be fucking pissed off if your fighter loses. So these are going to be some of those fighters who, if they lose, I'm genuinely going to be fucking pissed. And man, I'll be sad, okay? So it's not going to be, let me say this, it's not going to be some random unranked guy in here. I'm not going to throw some fucking unranked guy in here to try and appear like I'm some sort of hardcore. Like, you're not going to see, I don't know, fucking Nicholas Dalby in here. I'm not going to throw Nicholas Dalby in here and go like, yeah, obviously this guy's one of my favorite, because, dude, first of all, if it's some guy making a debut or some guy who has a couple fights in the UFC, even somebody who's not, towards that top 15, they're not going to be in here because I haven't seen a lot of fucking media with them, and I don't have any sort of emotional connection. So a lot of these guys in here, they might even be some of your favorite fighters, because chances are you're gonna also have some of those favorite fighters who are towards the top 5, towards the top 10, because you don't fucking pay attention to these unranked guys all the time and watch 13-hour interviews with them. So that's enough yapping. Let's just fucking get started, and let's start off with somebody who, who is my favorite fighter. Maybe you already know it if you've watched the channel before, but it is Marlon Chito Vera. Let me fucking move this. Marlon Chito Vera. He is my favorite fighter in the UFC. And when I say this, a lot of people, they'll maybe toss a look out there, and they'll go like, what the fuck are you talking about? Marlon Chito Vera? That guy's fucking bum. What the fuck? And they don't understand why I like Chito. And I feel like, to these people, I always say, please, just watch an interview with Chito. And when I say an interview, I don't mean the fucking Mac Life interview when it's fight week. I mean, go and watch a Joe Rogan interview. His Joe Rogan interview is fucking, dude, I swear, if you watch his Joe Rogan interview or even a Bradley Martin interview, you're gonna understand this guy is a fucking likable ass guy. He's funny as fuck. He's relatable as fuck. And he's genuinely a good person. He is a good person. He's not out here fucking doing degenerate shit. And listen, I'm not a fan of these degenerate fighters. I know people are Sean O'Malley fans. I just find the shit that he does cringe. I'm sorry, I find it genuinely cringe. And I look at a guy like Chito, I see a fucking family man, okay? And, I see that some people don't like him because they have these preconceived notions of him, right? They assume, I hate to say it, but literally they assume that he's like some fucking guy who's just a fucking bot. Who's just a fucking ball. This guy just fucking hopped over the border or some shit. That's what they assume, and he doesn't fucking have a personality at all, and he's just NPC number 1. He genuinely is such a funny ass guy, both in Spanish. If you speak Spanish, he's a funny ass guy in Spanish, and he's a funny ass guy in English.
Give me $1 million if he killed himself. He said, just no strings attached. You don't remember this?
I promise you.
You promised me if you kill yourself, you give me $1 million, no strings attached before you killed yourself without saying anything.
Can I get some of that?
Deal.
I help you kill yourself.
I promise.
What? If you kill yourself.
Yeah, which is actually it's a decent bet.
Can I get some of that too?
Yeah,
I help you die. I help you die.
Just $1 million, dude. Who gives a shit?
Will you beat me to death?
If you put the money back here and you sign that you wanted to do it,
euthanasia.
I fucking step on your face until you melt.
How quickly?
I don't use soccer shoes, the one with the metal there.
Yeah.
You step on your fucking head.
Chito, how quickly?
He's funny and he is so fucking funny. And he's so likable. I don't understand why these people fucking hate him. And I actually I do understand. It's because they haven't seen anything with him. The only thing they've seen is a 30-second TikTok of him saying, yeah, I was fucking clinching with Sean O'Malley and he was slippery. And they go, oh, he's fucking coping. This guy's a fucking coper, man. I fucking hate copers. When in reality, every fucking fighter, even your favorite fighter who's lost, is going to cope a little bit. So sorry that Chito coped about his fucking loss, which it was a cope. It was a cope against Sean O'Malley. But listen, a fighter should fucking cope, because otherwise they're going to be out here delusional and saying, oh, I fucking suck. I fucking suck. So I also like Chito because he has that fighting spirit. He's not going to give up on himself. And I think he's a good-ass role model, okay? He's a family man. He's genuinely someone I look up to, okay? I genuinely look up to this guy, and, I want to be like this guy, okay? I want to be like him, And he's got the fighter spirit. He's never been knocked out, never been submitted, because he's not a quitter. Okay, sure, he'll go out there and get his ass beat sometimes, but, you know, well, I shouldn't even say sometimes. It's been like one time that he really got his ass beat. But, dude, I just fucking love what this guy represents, okay? He doesn't get fucking damaged visibly ever, and he doesn't get fucking knocked out. Other than the Sean O'Malley fight, he did get damaged visibly. Fuck, I'm fucking talking about this guy for so long. But listen, if he's my favorite fighter, I get to talk about him a little. Just skip past this. And if you're here still listening to this, you're a fucking real one. But listen, I love this guy. He's a pure fighter, got the pure fighter spirit, and he's also, let me say this, he is also a very nice guy. Okay, now I know maybe you've seen him trash talking, I don't fucking know. Maybe he said something about Merab. I think he said something about Merab, like Merab's probably going to get knocked out by Sean. And people took that like, bruh, you can't be talking shit about Merab. He's better than you. Like, the only people, and I can guarantee you, I can put my money on this, the only people who Chito Vera has ever talked shit about, like fighter related, are people who are in his weight class. Because that's what you should do as a fighter. You don't have to be... And this is you don't have to be Mr. Respect Fest when it comes to people in your division, okay? So God forbid Chito actually, you know, trash talk the guys who he's probably gonna fucking fight. Like, hello, what is he supposed to be, buddy? And fucking, you know, rub fucking shoulders with everybody who he's gonna fight? Like, no. He's so respectful to everybody who's not in his division. I swear, a lot of people who are not in his division respect the fuck out of him. Like, Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland was hyping this guy up at the fucking press conference against Sean O'Malley. And, you know, he said, why the fuck don't you guys like fucking Chito, man? This guy's a fucking family man. And, dude, I got so hyped when that happened.
Keep sending me to fucking enemy territory. Hey, I have a question for you cunts. Why don't you guys like fucking Chito? He's a fucking warrior. He's a stand-up guy. This top G over here, this motherfucker with a status, trying to let dudes fuck his wife. Chito's a fucking stand-up motherfucker. He's a fucking hard man.
Let's make America
I got
great
you,
again.
fucking Chito. Let's go.
And, you know, it's because people recognize that Chito's a real ass guy, okay? And when you see him next to this clown fucking Sean O'Malley who's been on this fake persona, you know, a guy like Sean Strickland is gonna point that out, and he's gonna say, why the fuck are you guys like hyping up Chito? Okay? And I respect Sean Strickland for that. And yeah, that's enough talking about Chito, bro. People already fucking clicked off the video, I already know. But listen, if I don't get to talk about my favorite fighter for a little, then what the fuck's the point of making this video? Okay? But let's move on to Jiri Prochazka, who, listen, this line is supposed to represent the distance between how much I like these fighters. So Jiri is right. He's a very, very close second to Chito Vera. But listen, Jiri is on here because, well, there's several reasons. And I think this is somebody who, maybe if you don't know why I like Chito, maybe you're like, what the fuck, why does this guy like Chito? You're going to understand why I like Jiri, because who the fuck doesn't like Jiri? Like, I have never met a person in my life who doesn't like Jiri. And if you are a person who doesn't like Jiri, you are a fucking weirdo, okay? Because Jiri is so fucking likable. Jiri's so fucking likable, whether like his fight style is probably the most entertaining fight style in the UFC, just because he goes out there, he puts on either a war, he either gets a fucking KO or he gets KO'd. And listen, when he gets KO'd, I fucking cry and I'm sad. But when he does put on a KO, it's fucking amazing. But either way, if you're one of these guys who doesn't really care about the fighters, you're gonna love watching Jiri fight, because he's always fucking putting on a show. And outside of that, this guy has a personality. He's not a fucking, you know, another NPC. He's actually Mr. Personality himself, because this guy thinks he's a fucking samurai, does the Bushido code, practices Bushido code, and genuinely just lives his life as a samurai. You'll see this guy in the forest, which also, this is another guy who I kind of want to be like, right? I want to be like Chito, and I want to be like Jiri, where Jiri is so in tune with nature, and he's just, you know, out there fucking doing his samurai shit in the forest with his fucking sword, and just, you know, connected to nature, man. And this guy fucking, he genuinely is such a personality that I don't understand why you couldn't like him. Like, locking himself in dark rooms for what, like 3 days or some shit? It's insane. He's so fucking funny and so likable. And this guy, if you're one of these guys who, you know, Chito trash talks too much, then Jiri is the perfect guy, because Jiri doesn't trash talk. He's not out here really trash talking people, is he? Like, I can't think of an example of Jiri trash talking somebody. So he's always one of those guys who's gonna give respect to his, you know, opponent, and he's always out there, may the better man win. Also, let me say this. The only reason Jiri isn't like higher up than Chito or even tied with Chito, he's a little bit lower than Chito, is because there's not many long form interviews with Jiri Prochazka, right? Like, this guy, he's not necessarily sitting down with Joe Rogan or, which I don't know why the fuck he hasn't been on Joe Rogan yet. Like, please, can we put him on Joe Rogan? I think he even asked to go on Joe Rogan's podcast, didn't he, at like UFC 300? But Joe, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like, could you please have him on? Because listen, the most interviews I get from this guy are just the default bots interviewing him, unless I want to listen to it and fucking check and have to have it translated. But it's just some fucking default. Like some default NPC at fucking MacLife or some shit, or one of these reporters interviewing him and asking him, how's your next fight going? How's the fight camp going? I want to learn more fucking things about this guy, okay? But other than that, obviously, you know, Jiri, I also do have him in my profile picture. You would see his hair is in my profile picture, okay? There's a couple little Easter eggs in my profile picture showing you who my favorite fighters are. But let me move on to... Look at this. This is such a beautiful design that I created. I'm a fucking genius. Let's move on to Ilia fucking Topuria. Listen, Ilia Topuria is one of these guys when I say he's my favorite fighter, you might go, mate, you're a fucking bandwagon. But listen, the truth is, I first saw Ilia Topuria when, listen, here's a little cool fact about me. I was living in Spain a couple years ago. And when I turned on, a fight, because I used to be a big casual where I would only, I'd maybe watch the main fight on a pay-per-view. And, if it was a McGregor card, obviously I had to tune in because I was a McGregor fan, right? And so it just so happened Ilia Topuria was fighting on McGregor versus Dustin Poirier 3. And, I turned on the card and I said, fuck it. I'm going to watch a full UFC card. And I saw Ilia Topuria knocking out this fucking bitch-ass Ryan fucking Hall, who was laying on his back like a pussy. And I instantly went, okay, first I saw this guy was from Spain, so I had to support him because I was living in Spain. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to support the Spanish fighter, right? And when I saw that Ryan Hall's bitch-ass was just lying on the fucking canvas and the whole crowd was booing him, I was hyped as fuck when Ilia knocked him out. So, also, his fucking fight style, like... I've rewatched this guy's entire fights. Like, when I say entire fights, I don't mean in the UFC. I mean his whole career, like, multiple times. Like, probably 6 times or something like that. Because you can watch it in an hour and a half. Like, this guy's fights are normally not fucking going the full distance, right? It's very rare. He's only gone with Yusuf Zalal and fucking Josh Emmett, I think, right? He's only gone the distance with those guys. And even then, it's a fun fight to watch. So, first of all, he is always putting on a fun fight in my eyes. And second of all, I fucking love, and listen, I know a lot of people don't like it because they, oh no, Volk, he fucking trash talk Volk. But bro, I love that he's playing into the villain character a little, okay? And I fucking love that he's doing that. Because I find it so entertaining that everybody is out here fucking, rooting against him. And at this point, it's not everybody, I can't say that, but during the Volk fight, it definitely felt like a lot of people were rooting against him, and I was hyped to be, that I was gonna fucking get Ilia to win, because I know that this guy is not gonna lose, okay, and people are not gonna like it, and people are gonna have to like it, they're gonna learn to like it, and they're gonna, because Ilia's gonna be dominating that division for a while, and I just like him in general. Also, if you do speak Spanish, his fucking trash talk is so fucking funny, bro. Like, you just have to... I know in English he sounds like a fucking moron sometimes, but in Spanish he's so fucking funny. Like the shit he says, especially at the Chito Vera, Sean O'Malley shit, like where they had Chito, Sean, Strickland, and fucking Dricus there, and they had Volk there too, where they did that like seasonal press conference. He was so fucking funny in that shit. Like the translators don't do a proper job of translating what he says, but he's a good ass trash talker, and people just hear him saying, shut up, and they think, this guy fucking, he's a bot. But in reality, this guy is a good-ass personality, and he plays into the villain, and I like to root for the villain a little, sometimes. So, Ilia Topuria, we got him here, because, one thing I would say is, listen, if it came down to it, and I had to choose, if I had to choose Chito Vera to, fulfill his life goal of becoming a champion and doing it for his family, or Ilia Topuria to become the GOAT, I think I would have to choose Chito Vera just to even get the belt once. Because the amount of times I've watched Chito Vera edits and literally, started crying, started shedding a tear, not fucking bawling out, but just shed a tear because I've seen that, how badly he fucking wants it, and, you know, how he dedicated his fucking life to this. Dude, I just can't. And I like it's not comparable. Okay. So that's why I had to do this little distance here. But Ilia is still, I'd say, my third favorite fighter, but he's definitely a little bit attached from guys like Jiri and Chito, who I would say, like, if I see these guys lose, bro, it's like I'm shedding a couple tears, right? If Ilia loses, I don't know what the fuck I do yet, honestly. I don't think he's going to lose, but listen, I like him, okay? Let's move on. Next up, we got Charles Oliveira. I moved this a little too far, but listen, we got Charles Oliveira, and listen, I think a lot of people like Charles, but I am also I'm a big Charles fan. Maybe I haven't made it, like, clear yet, because I haven't honestly talked about Charles a lot, but, dude, Charles is one of those guys who, he is so fun to watch, kind of like all of these guys in my eyes, but he's so fun to watch because he's always going out there with the killer mentality, the kill or be killed mentality, and he's always having a good-ass fight. And when I see this guy lose, like when he lost against Islam, bro, and when he lost against Arman, granted, the Arman one actually, it didn't get to me as much, but it did kind of ruin the vibes for 300 up until a certain moment, which I'll bring up later, but it did ruin the vibes, and it left like a, you know, it left a bitter taste in my mouth knowing that fucking Charles lost. But it's just the way he lost. It wasn't like a domination. Like a lot of people like to say, like, Arman obviously won, but listen, it was, you know, with the submission attempts, it was kind of a close fight, so I wasn't too mad, and I knew, you know, Charles is going to come back from this shit. But, dude, Charles is always going to be somebody I fucking root for. He's probably going to be, like, well, I shouldn't say probably. He's definitely going to be, like, the guy I root for at lightweight. And he's always been this guy who I get fucking hyped as shit when he wins. I'm fucking screaming at the top of my lungs, especially when he beat Beneil Dariush, because that was, like, his big comeback moment. I got out of my fucking seat and I started fucking screaming at the top of my lungs because I was so fucking happy. And I think a lot of people, you know, they share a similar thing where Charles is like this underdog, bro. He's always been looked at like an underdog in his life. And it's just amazing to see, like, what he came back from and to see him become champion and, like, fucking fulfill his dreams. And, you know, I hope he gets back to the belt, man. I do kind of hope he gets back. Because, bro, this guy is so fucking likable. Even if you don't speak Portuguese, he's still insanely likable. He's kind of similar to, like, an Alex Pereira where, you know, English speakers, they don't understand what he's saying, but they still like him. And he's one of those guys, too. So, I don't know how you couldn't like Charles. If there's generally people who don't like Charles also, because I've seen people in comment sections who will be like, fucking Tapper or Oliveira's a quitter, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck do you not like Charles? He's such a nice guy as well. But let me move on to Max Holloway. I'm putting Max Blessed Holloway. We're putting him slightly, you know, behind Charles Oliveira. Okay, and the reason why Max is here is because he's one of these guys. When I was a bit of a casual, Max Holloway was one of those guys who I would see and I'd be like, holy fuck, this guy's fucking fun as shit to watch. Because, and I'm not saying it I'm not saying it as in when I was a casual, as in like only casuals like this guy. I'm saying it like he got me into the sport. He was one of the guys to get me into the sport. He was a guy who I was always rooting for. And let me also say this, I still don't know to this day why people would ever root for Volk against Max Holloway. I don't understand why, you know, like Lucas Tracy, okay? Lucas Tracy's the picture-perfect Volk fan. I never understood, like, why don't you like Max more than Volk? He's so much more likable. He's such a more, like, fucking, just a more likable guy, bro. And his fights are so entertaining. He's always fucking out there putting on, like, a striking masterclass, bro. I don't know how you can't root for him. And I just don't know how people are Volk fans over him. Like, I would have much preferred him as champ over Volk, but I don't know. And also Max is just a funny ass guy in general. He's always fucking funny. The Joe Rogan podcast, he was funny as fuck on that shit. And he fucking streams as well. His fucking streams are funny also. But listen, that's enough talk about Max. But it's sad to think he's gonna lose against Ilia Topuria. It is sad to see. But dude, honestly, let me say this also. If Max would have stayed at lightweight, and if he goes back to lightweight after the Ilia fight, dude, I honestly won't know who to root for, either between Charles or Max, because, dude, these guys are both, like, they're almost even. Like, this kind of representation that I did here, it's not entirely accurate. These guys should be a little closer, but, dude, I don't know who I would root for in that situation. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about Conor McGregor, okay? And this isn't current Conor McGregor, although the only reason I included Conor in here is because he's still an active fighter technically, right? I'm not going to fucking include some old heads in here who aren't fighting still. But look, Conor, I gotta pay him his respect because this guy got me into the fucking sport. And I think he got a lot of guys into the sport. Even if you're not a Conor fan, chances are you might have seen a Conor interview or Conor press conference or something like that. And he's the face of MMA. Not maybe anymore, but back in fucking 2016, he was the peak face of MMA, who everybody was fucking tuning into his fights. And I was one of those guys who would just, I would say, oh, Conor's fighting. And I just, fucking pull up the stream, the Russian link. I'd pull up the Russian link and I'd just click on, oh, Conor McGregor. And I'd try to fucking see when he was fighting because I only cared about the Conor fight. I did not give a fuck about who was on the prelims. And I would just watch the Conor fight. And if this guy fucking, lost, I'd be kind of fucking, I'd be like, what the fuck, bro? And if he won, I'd always be fucking cheering for him. So he's still a guy who, if he fights Chandler, which I don't think he's ever going to fight Chandler. I don't think he's ever going to fight again. And I've talked, kind of in detail about how I don't like new Conor. But listen, I can already tell if he goes back into the octagon, I'm going to be rooting for him. And because he has a soft spot in my heart. He has a soft spot in my heart that, I just kind of, I hold on to him. Especially when when the McGregor Forever documentary came out. That got me back into my McGregor phase where I was so hyped for McGregor, bro. And I wish he would have fought. Fucking a year ago. But they still haven't made the fucking fight, and he's probably never gonna fight again. And I'm fucking sick of coked up McGregor, bro. I don't know how people still, I don't know, bro. I just don't like Conor anymore now. Even though he's on my favorite fighters list, but I don't like the way what he's doing now. And I liked him in Roadhouse. I liked him, bro. I was hyped as fuck to see him in Roadhouse. But dude, it's the shit he does now. It's just weird. He's a fucking coke addict and shit. It's weird. It's a weird look. For Conor, right? But because Conor used to be so motivated. He used to be so motivated. I just wish we could go back in time to motivated Conor when he was fucking hungry. And he only wanted to fight. That's what he wanted to do. But money changed this guy, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Money changed him. And, yeah, it's sad to see, but money did change him. Let's move on to Sean Strickland, okay? Sean Strickland used to actually be a little higher on my favorite fighters list, but some of the shit he's been doing recently, it's a little cringe, so it's boosting him down a little, okay? I'm sorry, but listen, Sean Strickland, I've always found him funny, and that's kind of the reason I liked him. Listen, I know his fights aren't the most entertaining, and I know it's a popular take to say, Sean Strickland's so boring, this guy's so boring. But in reality, he's not that boring to watch, okay? Because when you're watching a fight, it's still a fight, and you're excited to see, is this guy gonna fucking, is he gonna get knocked out or whatever, some shit like that, because it's a fight at the end of the day, and you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know, oh, Sean's gonna go into a fucking pitter-patter decision. You can't always assume that, but listen, I get why rewatching his fights might be a little boring, but when he's fighting, it's entertaining. His press conferences are entertaining, even though he has started saying the same shit a lot lately, for you fucking guys. That shit's cringe, okay, so that's boosted him down a little. But peak Sean Strickland, which I consider maybe even to last year, he was still peak. Actually, when Sean Strickland won the belt, that was when I was I felt the most for him because I picked him to beat Izzy. And let me be honest, listen, I picked him to beat Izzy, but it was more one of those picks where I was like, I fucking love this guy as a fighter, so I'm gonna pick him. But if I had this MMA YouTube channel back then and I were making my picks, maybe I wouldn't want to look like a clown by picking fucking Sean Strickland. So, I can't say I officially picked him because of the technical breakdown. I picked him because I liked him, okay? That's why I picked him. But I did pick him to beat Izzy, and I kind of had a feeling he was going to fucking win the fight, and I was like, oh, this guy's going to fucking win. But I picked him by fucking TKO or some bullshit back then. And, yeah, when he won the belt, I was fucking elated, bro. I was like, fucking, the world is good now. The world is fucking good. Sean Strickland's the fucking champ, and I feel like a lot of people were like that at the time. And I've seen a lot of people just completely switch up on him, which is kind of lame to see. But listen, Sean Strickland, I'm always going to love the guy. He's fucking funny as fuck, regardless of the shit that he does. And he's, become a little cringe on, Twitter and stuff. But he's always going to be up there in my favorite fighters list, okay? Let's move on to the next guy. How am I going to do this? Wait, I'm a fucking genius, bro. All right, I'm reversing, okay? Let's pull up the next guy, who is... Oh, he's not popping up. Who is it? Okay, it's Paddy Pimblett. Listen, Paddy Pimblett, I know you guys are gonna say Paddy fucking Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett's your favorite fighter, one of your favorite fighters. Yeah, I like Paddy Pimblett, okay, because he's fucking funny as fuck. He's a good ass guy. It's kind of a similar theme. Listen, if you're a good guy and you're funny, and believe it or not, I actually do find this guy's fights entertaining. I know he had the fucking shit decision against Jared Gordon, which, you know, I wasn't too happy about either. But I didn't go as far to say, you know, fuck Paddy Pimblett, this guy fucking sucks. I still find him entertaining, and I'm always gonna find him entertaining. Not even only because of his fight style, just the shit he does outside the octagon. He's always trying to be a personality, and he's always, you know, his trash talk. It's the fucking Scouser shit. You fucking sausage lad, you're a fucking sausage lad. That is so fucking funny, and it just, bro, I love Scousers as well. Let me say this also, Darren Till, I'm not including him on this list because he's retired, but Darren Till also. There's something about these Scousers, man. I genuinely, I love the fucking Scouser accent, and I find it, like, entertaining, the way these guys fight a lot of the times as well. But Paddy Pimblett's one of those guys who I think is very entertaining in terms of his fight style as well, because he's, you know, he's willing to engage in the striking, and his grappling is actually entertaining to watch more than often, okay? Most of the time he's trying to go for, like, a submission or something, or ground and pound. I know he's had some, you know, some boring fights, or really only the Jared Gordon fight was boring in my eyes, but I don't know why people don't like him. Maybe it's because he's arrogant, maybe it's because he trash talks, but I like those things. Like, if it were McGregor doing it, you'd be like, yeah, I fucking love this guy. But this is one thing that I should say also. People don't like when, like, fighters trash talk if they haven't become fucking champ and defended the belt 16 times. Like, I fucking hate it. Like, Ilia Topuria, he's not allowed to trash talk. He's being disrespectful. But the second McGregor does it, yeah, McGregor is fucking funny. Like, the second McGregor trash talks a fucking flyweight or Usman or somebody who he's never going to fight on Twitter, people are glazing him and going, oh, he's fucking so funny. He's still back at it. Like, bro, relax. Like, these are actual fighters who are going to fight those guys, so let them trash talk if they want to, okay? I hate when people do that. It's so lame. Let's move on, though. This is a yap session and a half, bro. Islam is kind of a recent addition to the list, okay? And I used to be, you know, I said I used to be a Conor fan, so I used to hate Dagestanis, right? But I feel like Islam changed my mind. Islam is one of those Dagestanis who, first of all, he's willing to engage in whatever you're best at, right? He's willing to go to the striking with you, and he's willing to grapple with you and willing to try to go for submissions and ground and pound. This guy's not stinking it up, regardless of what you think, because of the Dagestani narrative. He's not in there to just, you know, fucking hug you and stink it up in the fucking octagon or crotch sniff. He is out there to entertain, and I respect it. And he's always putting on good fights, always putting on wars, and he is funny as fuck outside the octagon. This guy always has a funny-ass interview with DC, where he's calling him a fucking fat guy, and he's just funny as fuck in general, bro. Like, I don't know how people don't like him. I think more people have started to like him now, myself included, because I used to be a bit of a hater. You know, unnecessarily, especially when the Charles fight happened. But I feel like since then, also I should say I did root for Volk in the Volk's fight, so maybe then I wasn't even respecting him. But in the Dustin fight, I was one of those guys who actually said, you know, actually I would kind of maybe like it if Islam won. Sure, it would be cool to see, you know, Dustin complete the story and get the belt, but listen, Islam is an entertaining guy, and if he fucking lost to Dustin at this point, it would kind of ruin his legacy, and it would put a taint on it. So that sounds wrong, alright? It would kind of, you know, he'd have a tainted legacy. But listen, I'm glad he kind of won the Dustin fight. I'm glad he put on a show for us. And I like Islam. I'm going to continue to root for him. I think most people by now, this has been the guy to convert us Dagestani haters, us ex-Dagestani haters, into, you know, some respecters, right? Where we respect the guy a little. And, you know, now I can look at a guy like Umar and not go, nah, fuck this guy, the sport's ruined. I can actually, you know, kind of see he's actually kind of entertaining, and I don't have to assume that every Dagestani is a fucking crotch sniffer. Let's move on to our last guy, and it's actually two guys, you know, so I'm cheating a little because now it's a top 11, but I couldn't decide. These both are going to go in the top 10, okay? Dricus and Alex. Now, this is actually funny because Dricus was a guy who I used to hate. I genuinely despised him very recently because I like Whitaker a lot as well. So I was rooting for Whitaker in the fight. When he chinned Whitaker, I was so fucking pissed. I hated him. And when he beat Strickland, I cried robbery. I was in every TikTok comment section complaining. I was, I had a pure hatred for this guy after he had that close fight with Strickland, which I'm not going to say it's a robbery now because I do see it 50-50. But listen, if there's a way to say a fight's very 50-50, that's what it is, okay? That's what it is. It was the most 50-50 fight I have seen to this day. I constantly switch my opinion, and I've watched the fight back several times. But listen, I respect the fuck out of Dricus now because I've realized he's a fucking entertaining-ass guy, especially with his trash talk, especially after making Izzy cry. And I was hyping this guy up for the Izzy fight, and I was rooting for him in the Izzy fight. And when he won against Izzy, and listen, I'm not one of these cringe guys who's just going to hate on Izzy all day, but I did fucking have my moment where I was like, fuck you, Izzy, fuck you, let's fucking go. And I was hyped as fuck, screaming and just yelling in the fucking, I don't know, I was just yelling, okay? I was fucking hyped, yelling in the mic and shit. And, yeah, I mean, Dricus, I'm kind of conflicted now when he's fighting Sean because the thing is, I won't be as mad if he beats Sean. I'm still going to want Sean to win, and I'm going to root for him. But listen, if he wins, there's so many matchups that are going to be interesting for him, and he's such an entertaining guy that I won't be pissed at all. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted because Dricus is genuinely like, he now has become one of my favorite fighters. And then we got a guy like Alex, a lot of people have them at their number 1 spot. But, I have him there at 10, right, which is still very good. He's still one of my favorite fighters. But listen, I have rooted against him in the Jiri fight, right, obviously, because I'm a Jiri fan. And, it's sad to see he has knocked out my guy twice. And I also this is going to sound very fucking embarrassing, but I did pick Hill to win against him. So I was rooting for Hill. And only for the fact, because the only thing I'll say, I hate Alex Pereira Glazers. I despise them. They are so fucking annoying in every comment section. And granted, they have been right. Like, when it came to Hill, a lot of people were saying, like, yeah, I got Alex by murder. Alex is going to murder Hill. And, I mean, they kind of were right. But I was like, well, this is a 50-50 matchup, bro. Like, guys need to put some respect on Hill's name. And so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to pick Hill just because too many people are disrespecting Alex. And I don't like this disrespecting Hill. And I don't like this disrespect just because they're all glazing Alex. So I picked Hill, and I was rooting for Hill. And I was like, fuck, bro, I got the pick wrong. But, listen, Alex, I would root for him in every other fight pretty much. Like, I'm going to root for him if he fights Izzy again, if they ever do a trilogy. I'm going to root for him in the Khalil Roundtree. I'm going to root for him against Magomed, who he is going to beat. I'm convinced he's going to beat Magomed. And I'm honestly convinced he's going to beat a lot of guys. He has plot armor. So if he ever goes up to heavyweight, and I pray he does, because he needs to try and carry that plot armor and beat Tom Aspinall, who he should not beat on paper at all. But he's the one man who could land that punch and fucking put out Tom Aspinall, even though he shouldn't be able to on paper. But listen, he's such a likable guy. The shit he does, like going to fucking children's hospitals and like all that shit. He does, like, good charity stuff. He does entertaining stuff. He's always out here posting fucking Instagram reels and shit and TikToks. And it's just entertaining to see because, he genuinely, he likes to be in the eyes of the camera and fucking, keep up with us and, keep us entertained even in the octagon as well, right? He's always putting on good fights. So I don't know how you couldn't like Alex. And I think even the Izzy, like, super fans, like I've seen Kenny Okoye, they do respect Alex and they find him, entertaining because he's a fucking nice guy. He's a nice guy. He's entertaining. He's funny. He doesn't even speak English and people like him. People love him to death. Like, people literally love this guy to death so much that they just, I got Alex by fucking brutal KO, round 1 KO. It's going to be an easy matchup against a guy like Jiri, and I fucking tweak out, and then they end up being right. But, it fucking sucks because he did chin my guy Jiri twice. That's the only reason why he's a little lower, and, I just, bro, it doesn't sit right with me, but everything else about this guy's fucking badass, okay? It's fucking badass, including his little fucking walkout song. His walkout song is so much fucking aura. I wish Jiri wouldn't have walked out to This Is How Fucking Legends Are Made, bro. Why are you walking out to that against Alex's walkout song? It just didn't make sense. And yeah, man, whatever. These are my top 10 favorite fighters. That's it for the video. If you guys stuck around, this is a long video, but if you guys stuck around here, listen, this is meant for the guys who actually care. Not for the fucking, this isn't meant for the casuals. But listen, if you guys stuck around here, I respect you. And yeah, thank you for tuning in to my video, guys. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. These are my top 10 favorite fighters. And yeah, that's it. Peace. See you guys.